Okay, so the first question here, and Courtney, I'll let you start off with this one, but this is really who benefits, and Courtney has a very complex and interesting perspective on who benefits from a great incentive compensation program, and so I'd like Courtney, if you could, I mean, let's talk about all of the different major groups that benefit, but then really who ultimately benefits the most, and why do you think that's the most important thing we should be focused on? You're on mute.
Thanks, David. Sorry about that. There are multiple, I had to cough there. There are multiple groups that benefit and also multiple individuals that benefit from a well-defined incentive program. The important thing to understand is that there are also those same groups and individuals are impacted negatively from a poorly defined incentive program. You can have tremendous wins or tremendous losses with the the clarity that Sue talked about of your incentive program. But the benefits, you might be surprised what we've seen as one of the primary beneficiaries of a well-defined incentive program is actually your customers. In lean construction parlance, we are always looking to add value to our customers. What are our customers willing to pay for? When you have a well-defined incentive program, your customers tend to be the beneficiaries of it because you execute your work efficiently, on schedule, on time. Everybody on your team understands what the value is to the customer, and your incentive program, if it's aligned with what is most important with your clients, tends to motivate the behaviors to support that. So your customers ultimately are a tremendous beneficiary. The individuals at every level, whether it's management level, whether it's mid-management level, whether it's field supervision, whether it's craft workers in the field, they also, each one of those groups benefit from that alignment as well. And so they start in a well-defined incentive program. Each functional group understands what their objective is, and it aligns with what the organization's objective is with respect to their market, to the needs of their customer. And if you define your incentive program, the behaviors you want to incent around the maximum value add to your customers, well, then logically, your customers receive that value as your team executes their incentive compensation program to those behaviors that support the value add to the customer. Now, along the way, you find that once that starts to happen, so for example, we had one of our clients had an apprentice, a first-year apprentice, come to one of their general superintendent, and he said to this general superintendent, "Steve, do not put any more people on this job. We got it." And that first-year apprentice was able to determine, to recite back to the general superintendent on the job, here's our production goals for the week. Here's my production goals or my crew's production goals for the day, which had been communicated to him by the journeyman with whom he works, and that had been communicated to him from the foreman who was directing the work for the day and for the week. And he said, "We don't need anybody else on this job. We got it." And that same apprentice the week before had received a $1,000 incentive check. And it's not really about just about the money that individuals receive. It's about how that incentive program, if it's aligned well, actually supports efficient operation all the way up the chain in any given company to execute the projects efficiently and to the customer's best interest. So the primary beneficiary may be different for different companies, but we find that having an incentive program that focuses on the behaviors that add the greatest value to your customers has a tremendous impact, not just on the jobs you're working on, but all future jobs, because your business development is impacted by that. If you are a specialty contractor, wouldn't your general contractor, doesn't that put you in a great position if you're executing projects on schedule, on time, on budget, well communicated, billed properly and timely? You are more likely to gain more work from those general contractors than a company that doesn't have that well-defined process. Likewise, if you're a general contractor, the same thing would apply to the owners with whom you work. Sue, do you want to add anything onto that?
Yeah, well, and I totally agree with you. I think the customers being that almost next step in that business development, right? The recurring client. It's nothing but a win-win there. One thing that I think people tend to overlook is when you are looking at your field level management, yes, they may in some way, shape, or form be getting a portion of this incentive program, whether it is through continued ownership in the company, whether it is a weekly cash, whatever it might be. One of the other things that the field leadership is receiving is they're getting developed a little bit more on their, if nothing else, their communication skills, because they need to understand the incentive program so well. They need to understand it so deeply and can talk about it and make it so simple for people to understand that they now have talking points every single day with every single crew member and can bring that to light and make people excited about it. It really does help people in the field with their communication skills, because it's not something that we tend to rally around. We might rally around productions, but again, tying those productions to an actual end and what that means to that employee and to the company, I think that field leadership really plays a huge role and can benefit in more ways than even they realize.
Excellent points. And I love that framing of looking at it from ultimately how does your customer and even your customer once removed, how do they benefit? And, you know, the program has to make the overall business stronger, but that's part of, I guess, providing for your ultimate customer. So great way to tie that together.